Beatrix Kiddo is the perfect Avenger. She was wronged by Bill and his deadly Viper assassination squad, so she went after them. Them and only them. If they're not on the death list or not in the way of her getting to someone on the death list, then she won't kill them. A rule made clear after she exacts her revenge on Vernita Green. Behind her, the enemy's daughter appears. Beatrix remains calm and admits,
"It's not my intention to do this in front of you. For that, I'm sorry."
Those lines show there is a clarity to Kiddo's vengeance. She's not going to kill someone who doesn't deserve to be killed, and that keeps us rooting for her. But what if she wasn't so methodical? What if blind rage led to a slicing instead of a spanking? Or a dead Nikki instead of a live Nikki with an option to seek her own revenge? Suddenly Beatrix, a victim of horrific acts fueled by one man's desire to possess her, suddenly she becomes a child killer. That would make the bride a much tougher character to root for. A character whose messy revenge tour would pose complicated questions about reactions to trauma. Beatrix killing a kid would make her a character not so different from Jennifer Check.
Are you scared?
Jennifer's Body was misbranded as the Watch Megan Fox Undress movie, but it was written by Diablo Cody, directed by Karyn Kusama. Jennifer's Body was a female-led movie in front of and behind the camera, so once the frat boy marketing of the film faded, people realized it had more to say than just, hey, look at this body. Much like Kiddo, Jennifer was brutalized. The scene, as disturbing as the Rosemary's Baby ritual scene in which Satan has his way with Rosemary. When you're attacked like that, a reaction is necessary. Maybe you go on a killing spree like Beatrix did. Maybe that killing spree is justified like Beatrix's was.
That woman deserves her revenge.
But revenge isn't always sought out with such precision. It's a dish best served cold and cleanly. But what happens when revenge is served hot?
I need you frightened.
And sloppily?
I need you hopeless.
That is the question a character like Jennifer Check poses. Her thirst for revenge is as warranted as Kiddo's, but it is in the way that Jennifer satisfies her thirst that she loses the hero status Kiddo holds. Ahmet, Jonas, Colin Gray, and her best friend's boyfriend, Chip. These are Jennifer's targets, all boys, and one could read her attacking only boys as a metaphor. Jennifer is a assaulted woman, and the boys are the patriarchy, which allows monsters like Low Shoulder to succeed despite and even because of their behavior towards women. Megan Fox herself read the sacrifice scene that way.
For me, that was really reflective of, I felt like my relationship with the movie studios at that point. That's what they were willing to do, to literally bleed me dry. They didn't care about my health, my well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically at all. And they were willing to sacrifice me physically as long as they got what they wanted out of it.
Low Shoulder is clearly the villain in the film. Their assault sparked Jennifer's cannibalistic tendencies, and if this movie were a feminist revenge fantasy, then Low Shoulder would be Jennifer's #1 prey. But they're not. The most she does is insult the production of their hit song.
Could the bass be any lower in the mix?
Instead of hunting them down with her demon powers, Cody and Kusama had Jennifer go after some pretty nice guys. A foreign exchange student who minds his own business, a jock who openly mourns the death of his best friend.
He was my best friend.
A scene kid who asks her out not just because she's hot, but also because they've been hitting it off in class.
Well, we've been having a lot of fun in class, you and I thought that maybe you'd like to go see a movie or something.
And then she goes after her best friend's boyfriend. Chip gets jealous when Jennifer runs off with her.
Stop kidnapping my girlfriend.
But he isn't possessive or toxic. None of the boys Jennifer kills are as twisted as the Low Shoulder guys. Killing them is the equivalent of killing an innocent Nikki. And it's that decision, the decision to keep Jennifer's revenge tour imperfect by having her attack the wrong people. That decision makes Jennifer's Body a more nuanced revenge tale than the Kill Bill films. So often we look at victims and we want them to get their revenge. We want to say that because they were wrong, they can do no wrong. But Jennifer's Body shows that isn't always true. As director Karyn Kusama said herself about the politics of the film, part of the problem of an imbalanced power structure like a patriarchy is that women participate in it. By having its titular character go after fairly harmless guys, Jennifer's Body becomes less a feminist revenge fantasy and more a feminist confession to how sometimes a victim of patriarchal oppression can do more harm than good in their reaction to said victimization.
Does anyone know you're alive?
Swimming under the crust of slasher thrills and Diablo Cody one-liners,
Bowie knife. Bowie. Nice.
under all that is the true horror of Jennifer's body. What if being treated monstrously turns you into a monster? This goes back to something we mentioned in our Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark video. Edward Said's post-colonial concept that is, exiles often beget exiles, or in our case, victims often beget victims. If a group of men decide to kill you in the woods for no reason other than self-gain, you may also wind up killing people in the woods for nothing but self-gain. You may become as monstrous as the person, place, band that victimized you. Jennifer's body shows that while all victims deserve our sympathy, not all of every single victim's actions deserve our praise. Clap for Beatrix, who hunted down the people that tried to kill her. Consider holding it for Jennifer, who is clearly struggling and probably didn't go after Lowe's shoulder because she doesn't even want to think about him. But still, Jennifer reacted to trauma harmfully by hunting down people who didn't need to go, much like another traumatized character found in a different Karyn Kusama horror film. The Invitation.
Well, everybody's allowed.
No, it's a fucking cult, Miguel! It's a fucking cult!
That's Will. And even though he just said Miguel, the person he's really yelling at is Eden. They were a happy couple before getting hit with the meteorite that is losing a kid. To cope with the loss, the couple went their separate ways. Will found Kira, a woman who doesn't let him feel guilt for what happened.
Should have been watching more closely that day.
No, you couldn't have known, Will. You could not have been looking out for that.
She won't allow guilt, but she does permit pain. She doesn't expect Will to put the event in some filing cabinet and ignore it.
You're not letting go of him. I would never ask you to. You know that.
Eden, on the other hand, found the invitation.
My life's work has been to discover new ways to rewire, to rewrite our experiences with trauma.
The group's way of dealing with trauma is the opposite of Kira and Will's. They're all about filing trauma away, or as Will puts it,
Okay, it's not about communion, it's not about family, it's about fucking denial.
the group's goal is to deny trauma ever having happened. But if you've been traumatized, you know how impossible that is. The event is a part of you and it demands to be reckoned with. The only way to gain relief from denying it is to die, which is the ultimate goal of the cult. To kill everyone involved in the traumatic event, including themselves. Relief through murder-suicide. Doing that is the same as Jennifer going after nice boys or Beatrix killing Nikki if she had. It's reacting to trauma in a way that leaves even more people traumatized. Yes, Eden is a victim. She lost her son and deserves our sympathy. But when she says she can't be judged for coping with the death of her son through denial,
You can't criticize us for finding our own way through this.
she was wrong when she says that. She can be judged just like Jennifer can be judged. Their coping mechanisms put the wrong people in harm's way. Innocent men in Jennifer's case and innocent friends in Eden's. Denial and blind man-eating. These coping mechanisms turned victims into villains. That is what Karyn Kusama has spotlighted in her 2 horror films. Victims turned villainous. It's a terrifying concept. Victims turned villains, because Jennifer and Eden still deserve our sympathy. We should still want to hug and comfort them in their traumatized states. But Kusama warns you to hug carefully, comfort cautiously. You never know if they'll become a Beatrix Kiddo who seeks to kill those who killed her, or an Eden and Jennifer who blindly spill the wrong people's blood.